Anyways, you already saw the title, so you already know what this video is going to be about, so let's get right into it. For some reason, I always praise the G35 instead. The good news though is that if you love everything about the G35, then you'll love the G37 just as much or even more. The G37 comes in either coupe, convertible, or sedan form, so you can buy the body style that fits your needs more accordingly. You can pick a G37 up for around 15k on average. Of course, that depends on body style, years, and mileage, but either way, that's a whole lot of car for not a whole lot of cash, and since it's still from a luxury brand, the interior of the G37 is actually very quaint, even by modern standards. I know I made a joke last video about car enthusiasts not caring about interior, but for the G37, it's legitimately a nice bonus for how low the price on these cars are getting. In the same vein, the G37 is on this list, that's why the Hyundai Genesis as well. So if you're not too keen on Japanese tuners, then how about a Korean tuner instead? The Genesis Coupe is a nice affordable modern sports car that comes with two engine options, a 2-liter 4-cylinder turbo or a naturally aspirated 3.8-liter V6. The 2013 2-liter turbo models can be found for as low as $9 grand, so go nuts with that knowledge. However, should you be craving more power and more potential, then take a look at the 2013 V6 models, which are going for around 14 grand. And for that 14 grand, you're getting a 3.8-liter V6 that's putting out 348 horsepower, which is a very healthy figure, all things considered. Now, this car does have one weakness, which is that its aftermarket isn't as large as what you'd expect for a tuner. So if customization is really important to you, then you might have to pass on this one. Although, if you could care less about tuning it, the Genesis Coupe still makes for a great car to drive right out of the box just as is. Do you like LS engines? Of course you do, and you know damn well that I love them too. Unfortunately though, the C6 generation does not have pop-up headlights, which still makes the C5 cooler in a certain way. Regardless, if you thought the C5s from part 1 were getting cheap, you haven't even seen how cheap the C6s are getting. The earlier C6s with the LS2 engine are going for as low as 15 grand, making it close to the prices of the C5 even. The LS2 engine is probably the more underappreciated LS of the family, but it still makes a formidable 400 horsepower and 400 pound-feet of torque. Should you want the more renowned LS3 instead, you have to shell out a few more grand, being about 18 grand. The LS3 is a more renowned tuning platform and served a significantly longer lifespan, even being used in modern cars like the 2017 Holden Commodore SS. The LS3 was also used by like every wannabe supercar company ever. Does anyone remember this series I made? Of course y'all don't, which is a good thing because I'll probably remake that entire series because I like that topic and I think it needs a refresh because those old videos were horrible. They had terrible narration and editing. But anyways, back to the topic at hand. In regards to the C6 Z06 with the mighty LS7 engine that puts out a whopping 505 horsepower, well, I'm not going to include it as an entry for this video because it's actually holding its price pretty well. So I wanted to make a rather diverse list like I did last time, so here's a European entry for this video. I've already mentioned the E36 and E46 M3 in previous videos, so I decided to mix things up and mention the E90/92/93 generation, which spanned from 2008 to 2013 for the US models. On average, they go for around 22 grand, which makes them the most expensive entry on this list. Keep in mind that there is a possibility you may have to actually spend even more due to maintenance. I know everyone makes fun of BMWs for being horrible with reliability, and there is some truth to that. Although, when it comes to the M series, they tend to be formerly owned by fellow car enthusiasts who actually took care of it properly. So, a well cared for model will actually run just fine for several years. Having said that though, I'm not going to pretend that everything is rainbows and unicorns, because there are probably just as many non-car people who also buy the M cars. So having said that, to anyone who's massively in love with the M3 and is in the market for one, I highly encourage you to do your research and do everything you can to prevent yourself from getting screwed. Remember the car buying fatigue I mentioned in my story earlier? Yeah, you may start to feel something similar to that, and don't be stupid like me, don't get impatient. Take a break if you have to, if you get sick and tired of looking for one, because if you don't find a good one now, maybe better ones will show up a few months later, so just always check back on the market. Of course, you could always say F it and just buy whatever you want and repair it yourself, since I know there are skilled viewers who are watching this video who probably prefer it that way. I've mentioned a similar Volvo in past videos, being the S60R from 2004 to 2006, but the 2013 to 2016 Volvo S60 T6R design is quite the beast of its own. originally having a base model MSRP of $44,795. After 5 years, you can find them for about 17.5 grand. The Volvo S60 is actually one of the top 10 list of fastest depreciating cars, though I'm not sure if that statistic takes into account all the trims or just the base model. Either way, there is some truth to that, as modern Volvos do depreciate quite fast actually. This is mostly due to the fact that no one really wants them, so there aren't enough buyers looking about. But should you decide to look about, there are a lot of hidden gems to find. The T6R design was an overlooked performance sedan with 325 horsepower and 354 pound-feet of torque coming from a beautiful 3-liter straight 6. There is a lot to love about this unsung sleeper, and the straight 6 was only used up until 2016 before being replaced by a 4-cylinder instead from 2017 onwards. So if you don't like the 2013 model in specific, but you still want a straight 6, make sure you're only looking up to 2016 model years. Honorable mentions: Infiniti G35. I had to put it here just so the fanboys don't put me on a stake since I already mentioned the G37 earlier. It's even cheaper than the G37, and it is somewhat more dated, but I left it here in the honorable mentions because I talk about it way too much in my other videos, but keep in mind it's still a great car, and definitely a car that is well worth buying and fits the topic of this video. Having said that, moving on to the final entry of this list is a freaking Mustang. What did you expect? I'm a Mustang owner. Anyways, I love the Karud engine just as much as I love the LS engine, and that's probably because there's a lot to love about it. The 2011 to 2012 models put out 412 horsepower stock, and the 13 to 14 models make around 420 horsepower, which, if you like to blaze it, what are you waiting for? That car is literally your calling. These Mustangs have a nice modern interior, retro muscle styling, and a live axle that will probably get you killed if you don't know how to handle it. I still put the live axle on this list though, because the independent rear suspension Mustangs, ever since they came out, the value on the live axles dropped like a brick. If you're a great fan of that generation, because I know a lot of people like the styling of those more, now's a great time to own one. I mean, it's a great car by all means imaginable, even by modern standpoints, and I know I talk about the live axle like it's really scary at first, but if you know what you're signing up for, and you'll quickly learn its limits and adapt to it. If you really can't live with it, there are aftermarket mods that you can do to it. I know David from That Dude in Blue ended up doing some suspension work to his 2013 GT, and it's riding much better now, so put in the work and dedication and you can still get a great car out of these Mustangs. And that's all I've got for y'all today. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe if you love regular uploads of automotive content. If you enjoyed this video, please share it with a friend. Maybe if you share it enough, I might actually buy the C6 Z06 like I should have. As always, thanks for watching, and see y'all next time. Blade Angel out.